Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om, pranams to you all. Hari Om. We were going through Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1. So, in summarization, what was it? Every one of us, ultimately, we all want peace. So, peace is the fruit of spiritual knowledge actually. The divine elixir can be tasted within. It's not outside, it is available. Peace is our true real nature. So that can be tasted within only when the mind becomes quiet. Only when our mind becomes quiet, we will be able to taste it. Only through right living, right action, right attitude, right goal, right knowledge and right meditation does the mind settle in the heart perfectly, and then peace dawns. So what all we need to do? Only through right living, dharmic living, then right action, right attitude, then right goal, right knowledge, and then right meditation. All these will help the mind to settle down. So once the mind settles down, then I will be able to experience the peace within. So for all, sole cause of all suffering, Vishada is moha or delusion. The sole cause for all suffering is moha or delusion. When one knows the self, that is the Atman, then there is no place for the delusion.
Delusion?
Moha, delusion means thinking what is not there, that it is there. We are deluded, And delusion comes because of attachment. Thinking, wrong thinking. We can say wrong thinking. Wrong thinking. We are thinking we are the body, mind and intellect, which is not. We are actually the Atman. When one knows the self, the Atman, then there is no place for delusion. Instead of seeking causes for our problems in the world, we must turn our vision inward. Then we come to know all problems have the same seed, that is the ego. Ego means the feeling of I. So when the attention is turned inward by the inquiry, who really I am, then we realize that I is neither the body nor the mind, but it is the eternal, pure, immortal Brahman. When the mind is emblazoned with the splendor of self-knowledge, delusion is no longer possible. Once the knowledge comes, the delusion will go away. Like a light comes, the darkness will go away. We don't have to remove the darkness. We don't have to do anything to remove the darkness. Bring the light. Then darkness automatically goes. So once the self-knowledge dawns, then ignorance will go. Then peace will be experienced. Shanti, peace alone abounds in such a heart. So what will the Guru do? Guru and scriptures do. The work of the Guru and the scriptures is in making us look at our real nature. That is, to know that we are the Atman and not the perishable body, mind, intellect and senses. We are existence, awareness and bliss. Sat, Chit, Ananda. This reality never undergoes any change. That Sat, Chit, Ananda will never undergo any change. Whereas body, when we are born, we are a child, childhood, then adulthood, youth, middle age, old age. So many changes are there. Whatever agony we seem to undergo is unreal, mithya. Mithya means we will see what is not there. Same. We see the things which is not there. Like, example is the snake and rope. In a dark night, when we walk, we put our foot on the rope. Then imagine, think that it was a snake. Then fear comes. Sweating comes, We are so scared. Fear of death. It may bite. So many things comes in the mind,
But why we all fear death, Mataji, when we all know we have to go one day? Why do we fear death?
Because right understanding is not there. No?
So what we should understand? We all know that we have to go. Today or tomorrow, whenever.
There is nothing go or come. Atman is always there, no? Permanent, no. Don't undergo any changes. It is a Sakshi, isn't it?
Yes.
That amness. It is there always, no? But am I the body perishable, or I am the Atman? The power or the personality? So I am not sure, I am not clear. So I am thinking I am this personality. This, the body. It comes sometime in the time, space and this thing, then it stays for some time, no? Grows, then decay and death happens. Chairs are there, you can sit in the chair or up. So, but we are identifying, wrong identification is the reason. Because when we were born, we have no name. To play our role in the relative plane, this instrument has been given a name for Vyavahara. But we forgot, we started thinking that is real me. Unknowingly, we started thinking this is me and what all is there to this is mine. So that wrongly identification taken place.
What we say, hallucination. Hallucination, what you said is we are happen to see a snake or something like that for a rope. But hallucination means wrong perception. What is not there, we are thinking.
Thinking that it is there.
That is hallucination.
Somehow it has taken place. Now our duty is, Papa says, do not go and inquire why it has come. That won't help you. How to get rid of it? How to come out of it is important. So we should concentrate on that. So somehow it has happened. We started identifying with the perishable body. Now the Guru or the scriptures, what they do? Making us look at our real nature. That is to know that we are the Atman, not this perishable body. That is what they will make us, they will awaken us to that reality. We are existence, awareness, bliss, Sat, Chit, Ananda. This reality never undergoes any change. Whatever agony we seem to undergo is unreal, mithya. We are thinking we are undergoing, but it is mithya. All phenomena are only an appearance in the self. In the self only all this is taking place. Space, like space, in the space everything is happening. Self is all pervading. There is no place where it is not. Isn't it? So if we know the self, all suffering will be recognized as a mere mirage. But first we have to realize, experience that power. Papa says experience the divinity first within yourself. Then you will be able to identify the same divinity in all. That subtle mysterious power also called divinity, God, self, truth, reality, Atman. So many names are there. Scientifically, it is one energy expressing through all names and forms. So now presently I feel I am separate from the rest of the creation. That separateness, Papa says, sense of otherness sets limit to the illimitable. The feeling that I am separate from the rest of the creation. That sets limit. So now what we have to do? We have to identify our real nature. Know the self. Then only all the problems will be solved.
Which method we have to use?
Which method we have to use? There are so many methods. Here in this ashram, Papa, the sadhana given is Nam, Seva, Dhyan. All three simultaneously if we do, Papa said, you will be able to experience within yourself first. Then when you come out with that experience, you will be able to identify that divinity in all. Then oneness is there, unity. There is no otherness, there is no separateness. Means when I look at a person, I identify myself with the power within. Because of that power, personality is existing. No? I know that. So I get connected with the power, not with the personality. Personalities differ. Names are different, forms are different, purpose is different, work is different. Whereas the power is same in all, in any country, in any place, in all beings, creatures and things. So that is what we need to do. That is the only thing. That for that outside we will not get. We have to go deeper within ourselves. So Nama chanting and Seva and Dhyana, it will help. That is the path Papa has given us. Then in our life, so many sufferings, problems will be coming. We should take them as God, when He wants us to turn towards Him, He sends sufferings. Once He chooses to bless us, so those are, they say, one Mahatma says, those are love letters to us, sufferings, sending love letters. So we should thank God. That means He wants us to turn towards Him. So that suffering comes, we will renounce the world and turn towards Him. And then what is the cause? Main cause is me and mine. Me and mine is the problem. In first chapter, Dhritarashtra, first question, what are Sanjaya, what are my people and the Pandu's children are doing? Actually, they are all cousins and brothers' children, all own children. Like, he was the king. He should not have any separateness. Everywhere that comes, me and mine comes, separateness comes, otherness comes. Then all Dvandvas enters. So we should know we are all belong to, our parent is one only. Bijamma sarva bhutanam, Lord says, He is the first seed of our origin, source. He was the substratum for all of us. So we are all one family, Vasudeva Kutumba. But we don't know. So Guru awakens. So another thing which was made clear to us in this chapter is we have no choice whether to act or withdraw from it. Because Arjuna wanted to get away, get rid of that fighting. He says, I don't want to fight. We have no choice. Our choice is only in knowing we are not the doer and being an instrument in God's hand, the Lord's hand. So God is the real doer, the power. Another thing he says, when a seeker has an intense thirst for knowledge, to know the self, the Lord will manifest favorable situations that make him capable of surrendering to the higher power. So ultimately, what is needed is complete surrender to the Lord who is seated within us in the form of life principle. Then only all will be possible. So without surrendering, whatever sadhana I do, it will not be possible to realize. So complete surrender to the higher power, which is there in all. We are all instruments in the hands of that power. To that power, we need to surrender ourselves. So, Arjuna in the first chapter, he continues to talk, then he was tired. He has exhausted all. Then he sat down. He says, I will not be able to fight. Now, second chapter starts. Let us see. The second chapter of the Gita is Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya is the name of one of the oldest of the 6 Vedic darshanas. The word Sankhya means perfect knowledge. Its essential teaching is to separate the seer, the Purusha, from the seen. Separate the seer from the seen object. The seer is the Purusha, the seen is the Prakriti. The fruit is yoga, that is abidance in the self. Fruit is yoga. Yoga means abidance in the self. That is one's real nature. By Sankhya, one leads the mind towards the self, turning the mind towards the self. In the previous chapter, we saw the grief, Vishada of Arjuna. In this chapter, we shall see how this despondency is transformed into dispassion. By Lord's grace, so the despondency, the sorrow, the Vishada, suffering is transformed into dispassion, Vairagya. Dispassion means Vairagya. And how it paves the way for his surrender to the Master. And how it paves the way for his surrender to the Master. Here we see unveiling of the magnificent divine drama, the greatest teacher Narayana, revealing the supreme knowledge to his dearest disciple Arjuna in a friendly manner. It is a dialogue between Arjuna and the Lord Krishna. Let us see the first sloka. Second chapter, first sloka. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. You can repeat. Om अथ द्वितीयोऽध्यायः सांख्ययोगः Sanjaya Uvacha Tam Tatha Krupaya Vishtam Asrupurnakulekshanam Vishedantamidam Vakyam Uvacha Madhusudhanaha Sanjaya Uvacha Tam Tatha Krupaya Vishtam Ashrupurnakulekshanam Vishedantamidam Vakyam Uvacha Madhusudanaha. So Sanjaya said to Arjuna, who was drowned in distress, with eyes brimming with tears of despondency, and who stood there possessed by the divine power of grace that will soon make Krishna transmit the teaching, Madhusudana began to speak. The grand dialogue between the wonderful teacher and his beloved disciple begins in this chapter. Wonderful teacher and beloved disciple. The disciple is drowned in sorrow. At the right needed hour of life, the healing hand of the divine companion is extended. At the right time, that is the grace, right time we got the healing hand of divine. At the right needed hour of life, the healing hand of the divine companion is extended. Nothing but the knowledge of the self, Atma Gnana, can root out the misery caused by ignorance. The self-knowledge, the Atma Gnana will root out the ignorance, misery caused by ignorance. Here the master is Madhusudana. Madhu means honey or a drug. It represents ignorance, delusion, moha. So Madhusudana is the one who knows how to cure the delusion caused due to ignorance. Madhusudana means who knows how to cure the disease of the delusion, ignorance. So the transmission of spiritual knowledge is always preceded by the manifestation of the divine grace, Krupa. The transmission of spiritual knowledge is always preceded by the manifestation of divine grace, Krupa. Only when the Atman chooses does the Atman reveal himself, is an Upanishadic declaration. Only when the Atman chooses does the Atman reveal himself. So this is the declaration of the Upanishad. A deep longing from within for realization, a deep longing from within for realization, a deep longing from within for realization and contact with a Gnani outside to guide are the signs of a chosen one. Such a sacred moment is unfolding now between Arjuna and Krishna. Here Arjuna is possessed by divine grace. The general interpretation for Krupaya Vishtam is that Arjuna was overcome with pity and sympathy. Compassion towards all arose to him. However, if we closely observe the situation and the word used by Veda Vyasa, we will not fail to note that there is a deep spiritual connotation in the usage of the word kripa here. It provides ample room for interpretation as the power of grace. Here the immensity of Krishna's grace has descended on Arjuna. Krupaya Vishtam. The power of the Lord, Krupa, has possessed him. Thus he is made ready to receive the downpour of the celestial waters from that cloud filled with the bliss of non-dual experience. Krishna is the blue cloud that has arisen out of the waters of bliss from the nectarine ocean of Brahman, says Shankaracharya. Amongst all the Upanishads, it is the Kathopanishad that the Bhagavad Gita closely follows. There too, the word Avesha appears. Shraddha, Avivesha. Nachiketa was possessed by Shraddha. Shraddha entered his being at the opportune moment. An intense mass of faith arose in him to know the Supreme. This thirst to know, this thirst to receive the knowledge of Brahman is called Shraddha. That itself is Krupa. This thirst to receive the knowledge of Brahman is Shraddha. So first Kripa is awakened in the heart of the disciple, then and only then will be able to surrender his ego to the master. First Krupa is awakened the heart of the disciple, then and only then will he be able to surrender his ego to the master. The master's grace possesses the disciple and prepares the field, hence it is called Avesha. This makes the disciple surrender, and then happens the transmission of the knowledge of the self. Though Arjuna seemed despondent, the Lord saw through him, for behind his sadness and breakdown was hidden the mighty force of Jnana. Jignasa. For behind his sadness and breakdown was hidden the mighty force of Jignasa, a deep yearning to know the truth, to absorb the true spiritual experience. A little bit of chiding was all that was necessary to stoke the fire and make it blaze forth. Arjuna's eyes were full of tears. He was indeed blabbering the confusion about dharma, sankata. He was in self-pity. Sympathy for his dear ones was eating away in his conscience. Most commentators have said that this compassion towards his relatives was certainly colored by his mamata, minus, highness and minus. If we carefully reconsider Arjuna's words in the previous chapter, it will become clear that he knows that the effect of the war will be irredeemably devastating. Whatever he predicts as the consequences of the war are factually undesirable. Therefore, we cannot simply brush aside Arjuna's Kripa as a mere attachment to his dear ones. He is indeed none other than an extension of Krishna. See what Ashwardhama says after the 14th day of the war, when he tried his very best to kill Arjuna. When he could not do so, he became despondent and withdrew from the war field temporarily. While retreating, he declared, Arjuna and Krishna only seem to be two, but they are in fact one. They look like two, but they are really one. Krishna too has said the same. When Sanjaya visited the Pandavas, bearing Dhritarashtra's message, Krishna himself told Sanjaya, go and tell your king, Krishna is the self of Partha and Dhananjaya is the self of Krishna. We are one. In another instance, Krishna tells Arjuna, Arjuna, the one who hates you, hates me, and the one who follows you, follows me. This is a great declaration. If we harbor hate towards of a devotee, we are in fact hating the Lord himself. Any devotee, if we hate, we are hating the Lord himself. Mataji used to say, whomever you are hating Papa only in that form. For Mataji also, Papa told, Mataji used to beat the children. Her children were there. So then somebody went and complained. Then Papa called and told Mataji, if you beat your child, you are beating Ramdas. Then she stopped. If we follow a devotee of the Lord, we are indeed following the Lord. The Veda too uses the words Krishna and Arjuna. The dark night is Krishna, the birthday is, the bright day is Arjuna. The dark night is Krishna, the bright day is Arjuna. These two are not two, they are one. They are not two, they are one whole. What is seen in Arjuna now is a semblance of the compassion with which Krishna went to Hastinapura to stop the war. But Arjuna's compassion is of no avail at this point. Not only can he not stop the war, he cannot desist from fighting either. If he renounces now, all those noble ones lined up on his side to protect Dharma will die at the hands of the evil Duryodhana. So the Dharma that we follow today is perhaps a part of the legacy left for us by the epoch-making fight of Arjuna thousands of years ago. Otherwise, who knows, Duryodhana's rule might have eroded and erased the Vaidika Dharma from the Bharata Varsha. He might have done away with all that is noble in India. The very purpose of the Krishna Avatara was for Dharma Sthapana alone. So after hearing Arjuna speak, the Lord transfigured. The being with the cloud-colored body and lightning, the being with the cloud-colored body and lightning-colored attire suddenly became boundless and spoke these words to Arjuna. Let us see the second sloka of the second chapter. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Kutasvakashmalamidam Vishame samupastitam Anarya jushtamasvargyam Akirtikaram Arjuna. Sri Bhagavan said, O Arjuna, from where did this inadvertence and lack of intelligence come upon you? At the right juncture where you must not. At the right juncture where you must act, you stand shattered. This does not suit a noble one, an Arya. This would certainly bar your entry to divine words and also affect your glory here. So this sloka is an introduction to the Gita. The word Vishama has already been commented upon in the previous chapter. The entire teaching of the Gita is to lead us from Vishada to Sama. Samsara is Vishama, yoga is Sama. So the state where one is not centered in the self is Vishama. The state where one is not centered in the self is Vishama. To be in the self is Sama. So samsara is like a river that could sweep us off our feet at any moment. Be on guard. Never lose our alertness. Jagrata wants the Shruti. In Sanskrit, Kashmalam means something very petty. It does not feeble. It denotes feebleness. Here we have taken the liberty to translate Kashmalam as Pramada, inattention. Pramada is another name for death, says Sanat Sujatiya. Buddha too says Pramada is death. Here Bhagavan uses the word Kashmalam at the very beginning. There is great significance for this. Alertness is the most essential quality for a warrior. Alertness is the most essential quality for a warrior. One slip from alertness and his head is gone. One slip, war mein वैसे ही रहता ना, head is gone. In life too, losing alertness means losing life. In our life also, losing alertness means losing life. It is one form of death. In spiritual life as well, when a person on the path of Atma Vichara forgets his goal and becomes inattentive, he returns to identifying with the body again. And body, of course, is another name for death. Body is another name for death. Thus, losing one's alertness and succumbing to dullness is being pitied as Kashmalam, pettiness. It is a negative quality. The sole aim of a mumukshu is to awaken the fire of vichara and to be ever aware of his real nature, the self. Such a one is a sthita prajna. We shall discuss this term later in this chapter. Anything that makes us forget our identity, our deathless nature, and makes us identify with the body is Kashmalam. Thinking about the non-self is Kashmalam. It is Pramada, pettiness, and it leads to Dukkha, suffering. To be free of suffering, meditate on the Atman, contemplate on the self. To become free from this, Lord says, to be free of suffering, meditate on the Atman, contemplate on the self, your real nature. It will lead you to bliss, your very nature. So that is the solution. You are telling no how to. What we have to do? We want to be free from that suffering. What we have to do is we have to meditate and contemplate on the self. While discarding the old Yagnopavita, the sacred thread, and putting on a new one of the mantras chanted by the Brahmins is Jirnam Kashmala Dushitam. Visarjami. This old thread which has become worn out and impure through Kashmala, I give up. The thread has become unfit due to two reasons. The first is due to Jirnam. It has become old and withered. The second is Kashmala. Just by being associated with the body and soiled by its sweat and dirt, the thread has become impure. So similarly, due to its assumed identification with the body, the inner thread I becomes impure. The next noteworthy word is in this verse is Arya. It is one of the most misunderstood words of our time. It is generally understood at the name of a race. The word Arya occurs 36 times in the Rig Veda, and in none of these instances has it been used as a racial name. Buddha has used the word Arya to denote a noble one. The etymology of Arya is Aranam Yeshya Shraddha, one who is fortressed with Shraddha. An Arya is he who has fortressed his spiritual life with absolute alertness. So Shankaracharya also says, this Brahma Tattva, which is extremely subtle, is not available for the gross mind. This knowledge is not available for the gross mind. Only an Arya, a yogi with a perfectly pure mind and a highly subtle intelligence, is able to receive it. That is what Shankaracharya also said. The word Arya really means the one who is qualified for Atmagnana. He has seen the certainty of death and wants to be free of it by transcending it. Hence he seeks the Nivritti Marga of Vedanta. The other path is that of Kamya Karma, the path of attaining Swarga. Here Bhagavan wants Arjuna, he gives the warning, wants Arjuna that if he wallows in his current state, he will neither attain Nirvana nor Swargya. Asvargyam. If so, will he at least get a good name in this world? Bhagavan declares that he will lose the two. Akirtikaram Arjuna. So one should never forsake this noble path. One should never forsake his alertness. Whatever the reason, Arjuna, wake up. That is how Lord is telling. The word Samupasthitam is also significant. The words Samupasthitam and Upanishad have similar meanings. The prefix Sam means very well. Upa means something that is near, intimate. And Nishida, Sthitam, both mean to stay or to abide. Thus, Samupasthitam implies that we must be established firmly in our real nature and not in Vishama. Instead of being established in the self, O Arjuna, you are now being swept away by your mind. Come out of this mind plane. To be a slave of mental moods is Kashmalam. To be a slave of our mental moods is Kashmalam. Shake off this inner sleep. To be identified with the mind in sleep, whether you sleep or think, it amounts to nothing but sleep, because the mind is just another name for sleep. A person is truly awake only when he is free of the mind. A devotee asked Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi how he was always unperturbed. Maharishi replied, I never use my mind. I am never associated with the mind. This is the secret of the Jivan Mukta. This is a clue for us. Association with the mind is Kashmalam. Association with the mind is Kashmalam. And disassociation or moving away from the mind is Yoga, union with God. Yoga means union with God. Association with the mind is Kashmalam, and the disassociation or moving away from the mind is Yoga. The moment the mind is given up, establishment in the self happens. Beautiful, see? The moment the mind is given up, establishment in the self happens. Mind is merely a shadow. Mind is merely shadow. And when we identify with the shadow, with it, we are certainly asking for sorrow and suffering. Disassociate from it. Give it up. Renounce the mind. Mind is a mala, impurity. Here Bhagavan says that it is not merely mala, it is Kashmala, an impurity putrefied by the ego. The mind is constantly on the job of hypnotizing us by reminding us about various illusionary limitations. It says you will die, or you will be ill, or you will lose this, and so on. Hence, give it up and meditate on the Atman, the self, which is of the nature of peace, bliss, strength, courage, freedom, deathlessness. This is the way to be free, here and now, not later. Here and now. So what is to be done? We need to give up our mind. We have to give it up the mind. Mind is the mala. Impurity. Do not go with the mind. Watch. Sakshi. You should not go with the mind. How to give it up means Papa has given Ram Nam. He says, utterance of God's name is to make the mind ultimately still, free from thoughts. In that stillness, you know and realize God. Usually we become slave to the mind and go behind it. No, we should not. That's why in meditation, no, Sakshi Bhava meditation, at least no, daily sometime we have to sit 1 hour or half an hour, something like that. Then a whole day we can do, but it is not possible. When we are busy, no, it is difficult to observe the mind. So we should keep 1 hour and sit, do nothing, just disassociate ourselves from the mind and watch its activities. Watch, just watch, observe. Detach yourself from the mind and watch its activities. That is what Papa says. The watcher is the real you, the self immortal. So withdraw the mind from the world when we sit for meditation, then start observing. Do nothing, just sit. A thought comes, we should not travel with the thought. Do not mingle with the thought, wait. Just observe. I am not the thought, I am separate from the thought. I am the knower of the thought. I have nothing to do with this thought. Let the thought come, stay for some time, go. But I will not go with the thought. It needs a tremendous effort because we are not used to. By the time we realize, we are already gone. So that's why practice is needed. Every day, sometime we have to sit, then we need to practice it. Even Vinobhave also says, you observe. And Papa says, if you start observing every day, watching the mind, slowly the mind will start disappearing by itself.
Disappearing?
It will go away. Mind is nothing but thoughts, no?
Yeah.
Once mind knows that I am watching, the thoughts, no, will slowly come down and it will stop. Mataji has done it. Papa told her to watch. So to watch the all thoughts which comes to her. Then that was the final thing. There are
Thoughts disappeared, then there is no mind.
no.
Already.
She started sitting. She started watching. Waiting for the thought to come. So waiting. Okay. I have to observe. So I will be waiting. Then in that way, slowly it started distancing. Distance increased. So one thought to another thought, there is a lot of gap.
Okay.
Gap started increasing slowly. In the beginning, thoughts were coming. Slowly, the gap, one thought between the other thought, has started increasing. She said finally it went in 4 hours, there is no thought. When there is no thought, Atman only, we are that.
When there is no thought,
We are that only, no? Because the thoughtless state, no? That is called peace, substratum, Atma, so many names. So that is what we need to achieve. So for this simple method is the best method is every day, sometime we should keep apart, then try to practice. Just watch, nothing, do nothing, just sit and observe, Sakshi Bhava. So that's why guided meditation, no, we also make them do, first disassociate with the, body also, all parts and all, we can just observe. In yoga also they teach us, no? It is there. Trying to observe, first with the body. Grass, body is the grassest thing. So start with the grass thing. Then breath. Start observing the breath. Then third, last is mind, because it is so subtle. So that's why Papa told Mataji 3 types of sadhana. First is, he said, whatever you are doing from morning to evening, whatever work you do from morning to evening, all activities, in sequence you try to recollect. That was the first step.
Sequence?
In sequence we should remember the...
Okay, in sequence.
We have to remember the activities, whatever we have done. It is there in Guru's grace, Mataji ka. पापा बोले सो लिखा हुआ है, गुरु's grace book में है. So whatever activities, whatever the work I do, from morning I woke up till night I go to bed, Papa said you try to recollect in sequence. Then second step, after practicing this for a few months, then second Papa gave us, whatever you speak from the time you wake up to the till you go to bed, in sequence we have to remember what all I spoke. She did it. Then third is observing the thoughts. Third is trying to observing the thoughts, means same in sequence I have to remember what all the thoughts came into the mind. What all the thoughts came into the mind, in sequence Papa said you try to recollect. Then because she has to recollect, she has to remember, she started observing the thoughts. Oh, okay, I am waiting for the thought to come. Okay, I am waiting. So then the gap started increasing slowly.
First one was whatever you do.
हाँ, फिजिकल रहता ना, काम करते ना अपन, तो जो भी काम करते, क्या क्या काम किए सुबह से लेकर रात तक, लाइन पे अपन फर्स्ट क्या करें, सेकंड क्या करें, ऐसा लाइन पे याद करना. ऐसा नहीं एक उधर नहीं, लाइन पे, इन सीक्वेंस.
Second speech.
सेकंड इज स्पीच, जो भी बात करते हैं अपन, किसी से जो बात करे वो सब याद करना, इन लाइन, बोले तो लाइन पे आना. थर्ड इज द thoughts, remembering, recollecting the thoughts, what all thoughts came in the mind, recollecting the thoughts, what all came from the mind, from the morning till night, what are the thoughts came in sequence. I have to remember the thoughts, which thought came first, second which thought came. It's a subtle exercise.
Auditing.
So if we are able to, we should try. So that's why, because we are working and all, it is not, but for some time we should keep aside and sit and try this. So whenever we sit, start observing the thought. Whenever we get little time, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, something in between, we can make a habit. Nobody knows. Just we can make a habit and try. We may fail, forget, but we can try and try and try. When we will continue tomorrow with the third sloka.
We started by right action and what is right attitude. Then second one.
Right action, right attitude. Everything should be right. We'll read out, wait. We have written, one second. Only through right thinking, right action. First is right thinking, right action, then right attitude, then right goal. Goal, G-O-A-L, goal. Then right knowledge and right meditation. If we do this, then mind will get settled. That is what this Bhagavad Gita says. Only through right thinking, right action, right attitude, right goal, right knowledge and right meditation, the mind settles down in the heart perfectly. Then peace dawns. Right thinking, right action, right attitude while doing the action, right goal, right knowledge and right meditation. If we do, then mind will settle down perfectly in the heart center. Then peace will dawn. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om. Pranam Shri Lord. Hari Om.